Hey, there we go.
All right. Well, welcome to the Raised Honey Podcast. My name is David Holder. I got two special guests over here. They're half as special as myself because they're my kin. So, we've got half David to the left of me, and then three-quarter David to the other side of me, because that's the smarter one. So,
Never know what'll make it on this podcast. All right, I think we're ready to get started. So welcome back to the Raised Hunting Podcast, everyone. Good to see you this week. Hope you guys have been out slaying some turkeys or finding some mushrooms or just enjoying spring. We've had some rain here, so it's been good.
Joe Rogan's out there finding mushrooms.
Joe Rogan is finding a different kind of mushrooms. He may be finding the peyote, man.
Guys are out.
Peyote weed.
No, dude, peyote is a natural drug that the Indians used to take.
As you can tell, this podcast is going to get out of hand already.
It's a natural drug
we
that is
can't seem to
actually
keep-
legal.
We can't even get through the introduction to
Yes.
get. All right,
So how do you know it's not just weed?
would you
It's
guys
not
knock
weed.
it off?
It's a hallucinogenic.
You need some peyote.
No, he
You
does
need to
not.
chill.
That will send him over the moon.
We should do a podcast of that. have Dad do some peyote and let's do the podcast.
Whatever. All right. So before I introduce today's topic, I think Warren has some shout outs he wants to do, and Easton's got a story he wants to read. Whether we get through these or not, I have no idea, but we got a pretty cool topic we're going to talk about today. So we'll get there in just a second. We are having some more than normal technical issues that the boys are dealing with this morning as far as internet and
Our cell.
our 5G service is not working correctly. So we're having to stretch everything to get any kind of information. So
Yeah, so if you or anybody that ordered the Knox as well, that coincidentally came in stock yesterday, but we didn't get to tell you guys, so I apologize. But yeah, I can't send orders out at the moment, so don't be mad at me if it's a day late and $1 short.
Apple people, let's do Apple shout outs first. You guys have been killing it. Spotify people have been slacking on us. Usually they're the champs at the reviews, but they've been slacking lately. So shout out to HTFD32. Love the wacky facts. Keep them coming because you guys make my drive home 10 times better. Love the podcast. Shout out to Jake Zetz. Love the podcast, guys. Tune in from Northeast Ohio. Been following you guys since David and Karen were special speakers at our local hunting camp for kids on Target Outfitters in Canfield, Ohio a few years back. Keep up
that was a while back.
That makes me feel better.
Keep up the great work, guys. Look forward to a new podcast every week.
They call Mom and Dad special, too.
Well, everybody knows that. Two specials together creates two more specials. 2 + 2 = 4 specials.
The math doesn't necessarily add up, but
Hence
All right.
the reason for a short bus.
yeah.
That's why we're making it specials. All right. Our YouTube people, because we know they'll get mad if we don't give them some love. David Harrison, 9731. He's always a loyal man on here. He says, y'all ain't the only ones having a rough season. Here in Virginia, I'm having a hard time, but now we can hunt all day, so it's game on now.
Oh, man, we
That
talked
must be
about
new?
that. Yeah.
Wait, as in this year it's new, or as in this part of the season they can now hunt all
No,
day?
I would say that it's new for the season.
Interesting.
Shout out to Jeremy Cavareta, 1035. Great podcast. I'm a big fan. Another great podcast that is 100% truthful and talks about their misses and deer they have lost is the Hunter podcast. We know those guys, good dudes. Butchbeard 6311, great podcast. Thank you for your honesty. Missing is a part of hunting. Broadheads and bobbers. I'm listening from the Northwest. Love the podcast.
Love
That's
that.
a new one. I have
know.
not
I
heard
love
that.
the name.
I do too.
Broadheads and bobbers.
Jake Daly. It appears I was a day late on commenting on the last podcast. Don't worry, guys. I'm still listening. I think I've listened to every one of the podcasts in the last 6 weeks at least twice. My 6-year-old daughter giggles and gets excited every time she hears my name, so keep it up. Also, I'd like
Giving
to
him
hear
brownie points.
a little bit about this raised canine. Is this a new venture? Ooh. I don't know if we can fill you in on that or not yet. Jeremy Rupsick. Well, it's a family affair now because his brother's on here too. Anyways, Is David really considering not hunting turkeys with a bow anymore? Tough decision there. I sent the video to Easton my buck. I haven't tried taking a gobbler with the bow yet because I know it's really difficult, but one day I will. I have a question for you. How are you cooking your turkey breast since I hear you are just breasting your birds? Warren's wacky fact about the butterfly is a damn good one.
Hey, Jake.
Green. That wasn't
check
Jake.
out our
That's
YouTube.
Jeremy.
Jeremy. Check out our YouTube, my man. I just did a turkey breast marination video.
And then we
You
got
might find it interesting.
God's General 92-4, which is Jeremy's brother, and the Masonry Kid. Appreciate all you guys.
Oh, you're
and
not
thanks
gonna
for
read the
tuning
one?
in. You want me to read his too?
No, there's one in there that said that your wacky facts were mid.
I don't see that.
For any
The
older
Masonry
people,
Kid. Great
mid.
podcast as always. Keep them coming. I think the wacky facts this week were awesome.
No,
But any opinions on hunting pressured turkeys in future videos would be awesome. Thanks
Masonry. I got
all
you.
the tips.
I got you. I know that you said those wacky facts were mid, and I just learned the word not too long ago too. It's not so good. Just so you know.
Speaking
Not
of wacky
so
facts,
good.
we have some new rules to go over on that. I don't know if you want to do that now or during the wacky facts section.
What do you mean new rules?
There's been a vote
By who?
by the people of the Raised Hunting Podcast.
How many
the
votes were there?
community. All of them.
Yeah, whatever.
This is
Save
no
it.
longer-
Nope, save it for the wacky facts. This is my turn. I want
Okay,
to talk
I'll save
about
it.
two different gentlemen today. Jaden Hennings is the first one. If you look, you see, if you start on the right, all the way at the top, there's a kid on the left with orange on. Right
there?
there. Yep.
That's Jaden Hennings.
That's our boy Jaden. You double checking me or what?
Mhm, I am.
Good shot.
I know what you look like, man. Come on.
Right there.
Smoked him.
Yeah, he got her done.
Oh, he smoked him
All right.
twice.
I'm going to do two because his is pretty short and the next one's pretty short as well. Hi, my name is Jaden Hennings, and I'm from the southwest corner of Minnesota, right next to the Iowa border. Anyway, I used one of your guys' tips. If you're not hunting, you have zero chance of shooting a deer. That's a good tip. I don't think we're the first ones to say that. I shot my deer on November 6th. It was 60 degrees. It was 60 degrees that day, and I thought it was too hot to go deer hunting because I didn't think I'd see anything. So I decided to give my private stuff a break because I was hunting it pretty hard. So I went down and set up on some public. As I was sitting there pointing, I heard a shot a few hundred yards away. And
Pouting. I remember him.
Oh,
writing
yeah,
in,
he did correct
corrected.
that.
Yeah.
He did. Good job.
Not
Dad.
pointing, pouting.
That's why it totally confused me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. I was like, that didn't make much sense, but
I was
okay.
just making sure he's staying aware.
Yeah. As I was sitting there why is he pouting? Oh, because the shot. I was sitting there pouting, and I heard a shot a few hundred yards away. Made me mad because I wasn't seeing anything. About 5 minutes later, I saw him running towards me from the same direction I heard the shot. He bedded down in some CRP 200 yards away. Then I threw out a grunt, and he came running in. Man, this deer didn't learn. I missed in the first shot at 30 yards, but I got him in the second time. I shot him with my gun. I love bow hunting, but I haven't been very successful. Anyway, it's the biggest deer that I've ever shot, 120 inches and 5/8, which is a stud in southwest Minnesota, where it's brown, the biggest deer. Oh, wow, I totally screwed that up. Where it's brown, it's down. That's the same exact logic
That's
they have in
great, bud.
Iowa. That's all I got for you guys.
During
I love the
shotgun
podcast. Well, we appreciate that, Jaden. And that is, if that's the tip that you got from us, I'm in on it because it's about the simplest one we could give.
But it's so true.
It is. You
I
got to
mean,
go. You got to give yourself a
There's
chance.
so many people that talk themselves out of going.
The next one is a well-known one. Joey Capsh. Do you guys know which one he is on there?
Let me see.
Third from the bottom.
This
Oh, it's the weird looking one.
Yep. The really cool picture.
He claims he doesn't have a third nipple, so he probably does.
Yeah, he's probably denying it. Hey, but that's my numbers, guys. You better be careful. All right, Joey Capsh. My 2023 season was better than I could ever have imagined. I was lucky enough to harvest my first buck with a bow on the evening of November 10th of 2023. As a new hunter, the rush I experienced was indescribable. I had heard the buck grunt before I saw him, and because I had a doe drinking from the stream directly below my stand, I knew she was who he was locked in on. I shot him as he was quartered away, making a scrape at 20 yards. It was the first deer I've ever harvested on my own. I owe a very special thank you to Raised Hunting, and especially Easton, because they've taught me everything I know about bow hunting. I was extremely fortunate to live out a full circle moment this year. Not only was Easton the one who taught me how to draw a bow in the first place, but he was there to congratulate me that evening. These guys are legit. They they hunt the right way, and we're so damn excited for. They were so damn excited for me this year that you'd think that they were the ones who shot too. I will never be able to thank you all enough. Joey Capsh.
November 10th.
That is a good day.
Mm-hmm.
You the man, Joseph. You the man.
Nice work to both of you guys.
Did you steal my pen
Jaden
somewhere?
and Joey.
Pretty
You
good
give me that
picture.
pen.
He's got a pen there. All right, I'm good.
What did you just say?
So that's a pretty good picture.
Thank you.
Before we
Yeah.
get to our topic, I think we need to hear this wacky fact argument that because now that's all I can think about is because I didn't see any kind of.
There's no argument.
Yeah, there is because
No.
you're saying there was a vote. I didn't see a vote put out.
This is a declaration.
Oh, Lord.
The Declaration of Democracy for Warren's Wacky Fact. We, the people of the Race Hunting Podcast community, hereby declare that the determination of Warren's Wacky Facts shall no longer be subject to the unilateral judgment of any individual. Easton, it is our collective decision to embrace democracy in this regard. Henceforth, the days of Warren's Wacky Fact being judged as good or bad by a singular authority are behind us. Easton, recognizing the value of diverse perspectives and the principle of shared decision-making, we have resolved it to empower the democratic process within our podcast community. With this declaration, we hereby remove Easton Holder from the position of sole judge over Warren's Wacky Fact. Instead, we pledge to decide its merit through a democratic process wherein the voices of all members of our community are heard and respected. Let it be known that henceforth, the determination of Warren's Wacky Fact shall be a reflection of the collective will and consensus of our community. Together, we embrace the spirit of inclusivity, fairness, and democracy in shaping the character of our podcast. So you can take your communism and just hitchhike it all the way back to North Korea.
I'll sign it for you. You know what that sounds like? You know
What?
It
Sounds like
Democracy?
you're looking for a participation trophy because you can't get a win.
No, it's the vote.
It sounds
This
like
is
Yeah, that's
anything Nick says. It's like fourth grade, so I'm
Too
not
bad
worried
I don't
about
have
that.
this to drop.
It is literally a vote, meaning that now we're going to put it on our poll, and everybody gets to vote. And so they will decide if it's a good wacky fact or not.
So nobody agreed on this.
First of all,
Everyone did.
Nobody did.
If you have enough time in your day to write this up about this, you got too much time on your hands. Second
It's
of all,
3 paragraphs.
you didn't write that.
It's easy when
No,
you have
it's AI.
patriotism
That is AI.
flowing
Here's my
through your
opinion
veins.
That
on
is
this declaration.
I have multiple
that
drafts.
is AI all over it.
So it is
Yeah. Hey,
All
Joey,
wacky
you're my
facts.
numbers guy. I'm still just keep track. Appreciate you.
Nick. Every wacky fact will be a poll on Spotify where you put it down there,
Oh,
or you're
Lord.
fired.
He can't figure that out.
Yeah.
He better.
It-
So no
it won't-
longer, because he is a biased judge, and so I'm not doing that shit no
He
more.
allows me to have some.
I'm not biased.
No,
inflection
you
in it.
don't.
Hey,
no, he doesn't.
It is not my fault that a lot of your wacky facts are at the top of
Okay,
the
then-
things
then you
that
would
I've
agree-
looked up to. So I
Then
already
you would
know them.
Then you would agree that the people should be able to decide.
No, you got to have a good judge that knows his stuff.
The
It's a wacky
people-
fact.
The people are the only opinion that matters on our
How
podcast.
experienced are the people? Maybe I'm very experienced in this field.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I
What's
know
your
more than you.
credentials?
No, you're not.
What's your credentials? There's nothing wrong with allowing our community to decide. You just are afraid of being wrong.
No, you guys can vote, but I'm going to keep my regular numbers guy because Warren's
You
numbers
can
are
have
awful, and it is also hilarious. The dad, I think, is still at like 90% or 100%. If
It's
not,
easy when you do 3.
he just does quality.
You can
ones.
do-
quality over quantity.
There you go.
You can vote too. It's just not your sole opinion.
All
Easton Jong-un,
Whatever.
I'll take it. I'm taller than him.
Big Rocket
That's
Man.
more power.
All right.
I'm
Big
in.
Rocket Man.
I would love that nickname.
Big Rocket Man.
Yeah.
Well, he calls Kim Jong-un.
Well, he's Little Rocket Man. You didn't know that?
No. That's funny, though.
Little Rocket Man.
Since you think I'm afraid of Little Rocket Man,
I don't know why we just did that.
I'll wipe him off the earth.
It ain't right. It's not even close.
All right. So today we're going to talk about new hunters and how many do we need them and where are we at on that. This is probably going to be another one of our controversial topics. Warren has some stats. Well, Easton did an actual.
I'm very upset about this topic right now because I actually enjoy talking about this, and I did a lot of research on this one, but I don't have any of my numbers with me.
Gotcha. Well, I have not numbers, but I have my reasonings behind why I believe whether we need or don't need hunters. So with that, we can start. We can just throw it out there.
What's the discussion?
what's the definition of a need for new hunters? Is it money for conservation? Is it to keep a hunting tradition alive? Is it to get to introduce more people to it so that they get to experience it? What is the argument that we're making here or not making of what is a new hunter? Or what would be the need for new hunters?
Thank you for the scrap paper, by the way.
All the above. With what you just said. So, some people out there, there's some hunters that would tell you that there's already enough hunters.
So, well, hold on. So, because I think what he just did was probably pretty important for this discussion. Because you named 3 or 4 different things because they're all going to be different opinions too. So conservation money is number 1, not necessarily in any order, but that's
or funding.
Yep. So funding. What's keeping a tradition alive was another one. And then you had 2 others, didn't you?
Just to introduce more people to hunting, so that they get to experience it. So really, I guess sharing.
And you also need to put in not conservation money, but flat out conservation.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay. Now that we have these, but go on with your point. Sorry, I just wanted to get these down because this is going to change how I'll answer something.
Well, I'm not making a point. I'm making a statement that I've met people that are like, especially guys, and I think the majority of it comes from guys that are hunting public land. And they're like, there's already 2 daggone many hunters. They get there and there's 12 trucks in the parking space or the allotted area, and or they were used to going 2 miles back on an elk hunt, and now they're having to go 10 and still running into people. The states have changed some of their laws and things like that as far as how many people are getting tags. So that means that there's more people putting in. Our numbers are down on animals. That could be another reason why someone would argue that you don't need any more hunters. So I guess I'm just trying to play devil's advocate a little bit and explain some of the things I've heard from people when they say we don't need any more hunters. We got more than enough hunters already. There's, so.
Could that be true?
Could be.
I think it could be true in certain areas.
I was going to say it, but I don't.
I
don't think that it's a blanket statement. I think it's
like
a pocket.
The West, it seems to be, if you don't have more hunters now, then why is point creep going up? Why is it, to buy a tag in Idaho, do you have to sit on a computer in a line of 10,000 people?
Because it's getting more difficult to get tags at your regular places.
Well,
For instance, like Colorado is a great example right now.
Colorado's easy to get a tag. It's over the counter.
Yeah, I know, but they just reduced by 17%, and their plan is to reduce by 50% within 5 years, so that non-residents can't be coming nearly as easy.
But if you've ever hunted Colorado though, as a non-resident,
you need that.
They need to cut it because there is way too many.
That's where you could probably say pretty easily that a vast majority of people that are not living in the West go to Colorado to hunt something Western.
Oh, for sure, because it's the most simple, straightforward
It's
state.
the easiest one to get your tags and everything. So when they start removing that, what's going to happen to the other states?
Well, some may go, but it's already up. That's my point. Is there actually not a hunter number problem because they're having to cut tags because there's so many people?
So, but one of the things that you just mentioned is, are there that many more hunters? I think one thing that is going on is it's not necessarily that there's that many more hunters as much as there's that much more information. And
The
they
ability to know that they
yes.
can go do this or that.
So like someone goes now and goes on a hunt and they post where they went and they put it out on social media, and immediately millions of people could possibly see that. Thousands do see it, and then all of a sudden whoosh, they're all in that area.
Also,
There's no more people. It just the information pipeline is so fast now, so direct.
you also the simplicity of, I think that like there's two reasons why I've either gotten to hunt things in the West or been able to. Like if we're removing any outside factors, but number one, you guys understand the systems, which are very confusing, in my opinion. Actually, a lot of people think that it's really confusing. So number one, you guys have allowed me on that note, and number two, we lived out there for a while as well, so we were in the places that it's difficult to go hunt. The reason I make that point is because you would know what they are. I can't remember what the websites are called, but there's now multiple websites and apps that will help you pick, like you can pick your location, you can pick your units, you can pick different things, and it explains to you all the things that I'm normally asking you guys or people are asking you guys of like, hey, when I want to go to, say, Montana, how many years should I expect to be putting in for this, that, and the other? Or can I get a place to buy a governor tag or a landowner tag or a this or whatever else? I never would have had the know-how or the ability or probably, to be honest, the care to go find those things unless it was sitting there as easy as it is now by those apps and things that, because I've heard a lot of guys that are like, thank God for some of these things because I've never understood it. Right. Never understood how to do some of these things, but now I do. So right there is going to got to be a large influx in people that were not experiencing it simply because they don't understand it at all.
Well, let's just
technology has helped that.
Well, let's just cut the West out. Let's just talk Midwest and East. I think that we could possibly all make the argument that at least you hear more now than ever, I don't have permission or access to anywhere. Mm-hmm. And so does that mean that there's guys that are leasing everything and making it where nobody else can get on stuff, and that's pushing other people away? Or is it just the fact that there's more people hunting and so there's less land available?
I have an opinion on that is not either of those.
Okay.
Because I've had places where I can't hunt anymore because the landowner doesn't want you hunting there, or they're going to lease it, or they're going to sell it, or whatever else. So I've had that happen. I've also had the difficulties of finding places to get permission. And when I say that, like there's a place that I hunt right now that I've now hunted for 5 or 6 years, and that was me and Warren knocking on. It was either right over or right at 100 doors, and we got yes one time. So my point with that is that I think, in my opinion, that technology and social media is the reason that people have it in their head that they can't go find hunting ground, because you have, and it's not a bad thing, but you have people like the hunting public who are showing that this is capable. I can go find public land and you can kill good deer. You can do this, you can do that. And so now everybody's like, okay, well, maybe I don't have to worry about trying to find the private. And with the amount of people that now know that they can do certain things that aren't technically, or that aren't what they used to be of, I have to go get permission on land, I think has driven a lot of people to think, go the lazy route. And I'm not saying the lazy route of you're going to public land, but the lazy route of I'm not going to go knock on any doors because it's just not an option. They don't do it anymore. People have leased everything. There's no farmers that are willing to give you permission. It's not worth it. And that's just flat out not true, no matter where you're at, because we've seen it in lots of places that people are like, well, over here it isn't possible. Knock on an extra door, and I bet it will be. And I think that right there has made people think that there's tons and tons and tons more hunters because everybody's going to one place instead of everybody was trying to find their own places, if that makes any sense. With how easy it is, because I probably would have never given public land all that much, I guess, credit until I started seeing some of these other guys doing it. And I'm not one to be a follower much, but I'm like, oh, dang, that's an option. I mean, it's actually you could go get a big deer or shoot some turkeys or something. Because numbers, if you look at the numbers haven't changed. They have changed, but they haven't gone past what people were saying, that there's 17 times more hunters and everything. They haven't exceeded those the amount.
Well, I think it has somewhat, though, because I think no matter what, we all have to agree somewhat that whether it's impossible or not, getting access to land today is much more difficult than it was 15 years ago.
And I think that in 15 years ago, it was much more difficult than it was the 15 years prior.
Yeah,
I mean, it's never going to get easier.
But the other thing that you have to keep in mind is the numbers that they keep referencing of total hunters is in comparison to the population. Okay, so 20 years ago, if there was 100 million people in America, and we had 8% of them that were hunters, then you had 8 million hunters.
Why are you going off of that?
That was used to be what the number was about 10%.
Okay.
And now your population is 330 million. So if you have 6% of those are hunters, what's 6% of 330 million?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Let's look. 19.8 million.
Which isn't accurate, though. So that's, you got to look at.
Well, I think it is. So here's something and then you got to keep in mind COVID. COVID changed some things.
Boosted the number of hunters, for sure.
This is what they're saying right now. As of 2023, there are 15.9 million hunting license holders in the United States. So everybody that bought a license. The 2022 National Survey of Fishing, Hunting, and Wildlife Association or Associated Recreation estimates that 14.4 million Americans hunt, which is the highest number since at least 1991. However, some estimates put the number of hunters in the U.S. at 20 to 25 million, or even possibly up to 30 million, accounting for the fact that many people don't hunt every year. A new report released on October 12th by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service shows that 14.4 million hunters aged 16 and over contributed $45.2 billion to the economy in 2022. The survey found that 6% of the U.S. population hunted, and they spent a combined 241 million days of field last year.
So the estimations, though, you can't go off of it all, because it's not there. There's no reason to estimate when you have a way to actually know.
Okay, well, let's just take the 15.9 million.
Yep.
And I think that you can't say that the COVID thing that those hunters are not staying.
No,
because COVID now was 2020, so we're 3 hunting seasons past
3 or 4
COVID,
past it now,
and you still have that number.
So COVID, to be honest, was probably a very good thing for us, because your 90s was 13 to 14 or something.
It even got down, I think, down to 10 or 11 million.
We got to 11.5 or 12 million in 2018 or 19. We were going low, and it was progressively going low from the 90s, because the 90s is when it peaked, and then it was progressively going low. And then once we hit COVID, we went back to 14, which still hadn't gotten. If it's to 15 now, we're now getting back to what it was at the peak in the 90s. So now we're starting to get more hunters. And so my point is that years ago, yeah, we needed more, because heck, you could even argue that it depends on where you're at. In Iowa, I'd say you almost need more. Selfishly, I do not want more hunters.
Why do you think we need more here?
Because look at the population of the deer. Way out of whack. You go in certain areas, you go to the southern parts of Iowa, they don't have as many issues with it. You go to the South Central or around Dad's place, the numbers are not in control, not even a little bit, and that's with a significant amount of hunters. So either the success rate needs to go up, or the hunters need to go up. Success rate would probably be helpful.
I would have a hard time saying in Iowa we need more hunters. I feel like we got. It seems like every piece there's a couple guys on.
No, that's what I'm saying. Selfishly, I don't want more. On the conservation topic of trying to get a healthy population, we need more. Or we need another way, or more tags, or see, that's where they do a good, or some of these like DNR or Fish, Wildlife, and Parks do a much better job of, instead of trying to just bring in as many people as they can or opening it to non-residents and things, they say, hey, our residents are going to get 2 tags instead of 1. Or
Well, I think maybe we should go back to where this whole thing came from in the first place. It was all funding, I think, wasn't it? The whole R3 program.
I don't know if that was no. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't.
I'm pretty
I don't
sure
know
that's
if
what
it
it
was
was.
all funding. I mean, I
think they
guess
were
I
afraid
can't
they were
speak
going
to
to run
that.
out of
I don't-
money.
no, well,
That they didn't have enough hunters and they were going to run out of cash. For the department.
that was one of them. The other one was that they're like I wish you could pull that age demographic back up.
Yeah, they
Because
thought that
that's
they
what
were
they
going to
were worried
age
about.
out, but that's what they were saying though. Is the only reason they were so concerned about that is because they were saying that was then there was not going to be enough tags, enough licenses being bought to fund the your fish and games, your conservation departments.
Yeah.
I think
And-
that's a valid and a very large portion of the reasoning behind R3, but it's not the only thing. I mean, I guess that here again.
Well, why don't we tell people what R3 was in case they don't know? Was it
Retention,
reactivate, retain,
recruit, and what's the third R? So keeping hunters going into the field, ones that have bought a license. That's the retention part of it.
recruitment, retention, and reactivation.
And reactivation. The ones that have left, bringing them back.
Yep.
So my point is that I think the R3 program has done a fantastic job. The part that you instilled to me is that no statistic is ever going to do it, and that is no statistic is ever going to bring it out or say it, or you're never going to see it, is, man, how crappy and you can say this all you want, that you don't want more people there, and I agree, it's a double-edged sword that I want to see fathers, grandfathers, and uncles, and friends, and boyfriends, and husbands introducing someone to hunting. Because look at how awesome it is.
I don't think that's the argument.
No, but that is a valid argument. That, I mean, when someone stands there and says, I don't want to see more hunters because they don't want to compete with them on the next piece of ground. Well, does that mean that hunter is actually going, I'm not going to show my wife how to do this. I'm not going to show my kids how to do this.
I don't think that's the discussion. I think
it has to be part of the discussion.
No, I don't think that's what people are saying at all. I think they're saying, are you going out now and finding somebody that is not hunting, that is not had anybody introduce them, has maybe had some interest in it, but never like actually gone and done anything, and trying to figure out a way to take them and get them now actively introduced and hunting. That's where I think the argument comes in. I don't think people have any issue with their family or their girlfriend or their buddy or someone along those lines.
I don't know. I think that there's plenty of guys out there that are not. They don't want to teach others or bring others in because they know that.
Then they're competing because then all of a sudden they're competing with that.
Okay. Well, so here, let me pose this question then. At what point does that amount of pressure ruin it? Where now you can't go take your kid, or you can't go take somebody else, and you can't have go and take them and provide a good, engaging, fun experience because there's so much pressure that you can't get away from people.
I think in some areas that's already happened. I think there are places that guys, and I shouldn't say guys because there's a lot of women now that are taking kids or taking another woman, and I think there's places that are already like that they get there and the experience is nothing but people. You know, this isn't fun. We didn't see a single deer. We never heard a turkey gobble. We never heard an elk bugle because there's people around every corner, you know. So I think that is already happening. But I come back to kind of what Easton was saying earlier is how much do you believe in it? How much do you love it? Because if you truly believe in it and you truly love it, then you will find a way to find a place that's that good, whether it's a better piece of private ground a better piece of public ground that people haven't found yet. And you'll pack your kid on your back, or you'll ask your wife, tell your wife, we're going to have to walk 3 miles in here, but I want to show you this. I want you to have that chance. Or you say, I am going to lease a piece of ground, or I'm going to join a hunt club, or I'm going to go on a hunt somewhere that is better than what I'm doing. That's for everyone to decide on where they draw the line on how much they're invested in that.
What about the people that can't afford that?
That's what I'm saying.
Can't
It's
really
all
help that. I mean, that's
That's where I think you have to say it's a valid argument, just because then you get to a position where the only way that they can go on a really good hunt and have that experience is by drawing a tag that takes multiple years and limits the amount of people.
Well, you'll hear people make the statement that hunting is becoming a rich man's sport, and I don't like hunting being even called sport, but they have a point. It is becoming more and more difficult and more. I mean, the price of tags is going up. The time that it takes to take off, the fuel prices have gone up. If you want to go on a quality hunt and things like that, you're going to spend some money. Or buying a piece of ground, land grows up. But at the same time, it's all relative, in my opinion, to 50 years ago. 50 years ago, land prices were what we would all look at and go, oh my gosh, I wish that I lived then. I could have bought all kinds of ground. Yeah, but you were only going to be making 1/10 of whatever you make right now because you didn't make that much money. So
I think it's a little outsized right now.
I don't think it's any
different
different than what it was back then.
Dude, if you make 13 years ago, you bought the 80.
Yeah.
For
land prices are
what, $2,200 an acre?
Mm-hmm.
Now you'd have a hard time buying anything for under $9,000 an acre. And it's not like I see what you're saying as far as the average wage and then the average land price.
Right.
Those two things are not in line anymore. That is way outsized. You're talking at that same 80. Now you're talking damn near $1 million.
I don't think it's worth $1 million, but okay. I know what you're saying.
Well, you haven't looked at the market then. Like I'm telling you, dude, like it would be almost impossible for you to get less than $8,000 an acre for it. I've looked multiple times and anything more than 40 acres, even when you get down to like 5 acres, it's $300,000.
But
your smaller ones are lots, though.
Yeah.
Um,
Smaller chunks are more expensive.
5 acres is not a lot, though. Even 10 acres, I'm telling you, you're $400,000. And I know this because I've been trying to find somewhere for Alyssa and I to buy a piece of ground, and I can't find anything.
That's why those ones are more expensive.
No, I've looked everywhere, dude. 40 acres. You're everything is 700,000.
Very, very expensive. I'm just explaining why a 5 acre lot does not add up to a.
Okay, well that's not
acre.
the argument. The argument is that those buying land now and buying land 10 years ago was two totally different things. COVID totally whacked that, and I have no idea who all these people are that continue to have the money to be paying $9,000 an acre.
I don't know, but it's unfortunately, and I've said this my entire life, is hunting is not heading in a good way, and only because it's not because it's doing anything to itself. It's just going to we're going to lose property to hunt. We're going to lose people to hunt, or you're going to have an influx of a bunch of people that don't really do it for the same reasons and things like that. And what I mean by that, I'm not saying that introducing someone that's 40 years old to hunting is just as good as introducing a 4-year-old.
Numbers would tell you it ain't, though.
Right. I mean, so are they as invested in the tradition? I guess I come back to why we hunt, and mine's not just because I want the experience of killing something. It's something that God created that I think that we can go out and enjoy, and it's so worth it that's why it was so important to me to make sure you guys. I didn't care if it meant that I wasn't going to get to kill a deer this year to let you guys kill a deer. You see what I'm saying? I mean, because without a doubt, Warren, you can say that you may not realize it, but I was having to give up something to take you, Mom, and Easton.
Yeah, but dude, our experiences were off the charts, and that's because there wasn't people. Some of the places we went and hunted, the 340 bull I almost shot at 12 years old on public land after we called in 5 other elk.
Yeah, but how did he do that?
But
that's
okay,
what I'm saying is the difference in
I was going to say,
people.
but no, there was still a lot of hunters back then.
He was going past them all.
We were competing with the air base. We were competing with all the other people. And so what I did was I spent a crap ton of time trying to figure out where were guys not going. And so and so I was putting in the time and the effort to make sure that I was taking us to a place, and that was me wanting to share hunting with you guys the best that I possibly could.
Yeah, and as what I'm saying is I'm agreeing with you is that, but I also think that the numbers, you have to look at the numbers. So if you're saying that hunting is going in a bad direction, what does that mean? And how do you change that?
I don't know that you can.
Partly is what I'm hearing is you need less hunters, because that would give those that are hunting a better experience. It would also reduce probably the demand of certain things and bring the prices down.
The problem,
because I think the reason that you're seeing licenses go up is because they're trying to cut out the amount of people applying. That's what you do. That's some business dude went and told Colorado, hey, this is how you solve your problem. You raise your prices. When you have your products you can't keep in stock, you raise the prices until you find where it sits. And so they're telling Colorado, yes, you guys have way too many people applying because it's affordable, so you need to raise your prices until you get to that number.
The main thing was pulling tags, not raising prices.
Well, they're reducing the amount of people that are even putting in by what they've charged.
Yeah, but they don't even have the numbers to give the tags because of how down their numbers are.
Their numbers aren't down at all.
They are from what they used to be.
Because now all of a sudden they have so many people that were buying tags. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The downside of downsizing hunting, meaning the hunter numbers, is then you don't have enough fight in the game. You don't have a big enough percentage to be able to argue anything. You'll get walked over and it will just go away.
Any legislation is going to get passed elsewhere.
Yep, and I mean it just goes on.
Your argument there though is short term, because in a couple of years, right now we may not need it. We may not, there might be enough people going around that it's a pain in the butt. But if you're looking at the numbers, I'm not going to say 50% because I don't want to have to backtrack, but I'm quite positive it is. But we'll go with 40%. It's like 45 or 46% or something that is over the age of 40 out of the total amount of hunters in the U.S. What does that tell you in 10 years? For them, 20 years.
I think that statement's false.
It's not false. It's a fact.
No, it's false. It's false as far as what they're saying, that all those people are going to age out and then that there's no other hunters coming back. But the other fact that they're not talking about is the fact that there's a gap from about 15, 16 to like 24, 25. And what that gap is then they're in sports, they're in school, they go to college, they have no money. Then all of a sudden they start making money again and they have a little more time, and then they come back to hunting.
And go look at the number of the amount that does come back. It's still not even relative to the amount that actually progress.
Okay, well, my point is what are we saying that there needs to be numbers for to conserve? Because if we're trying to say it was the conservation departments, then I think that argument should be somewhat out. Otherwise, the government is mismanaging the money.
No, you got to listen though, because you need conservation money, and this is more than just right now. Let's look in the next 20 to 30 years. We're going to need money. The tradition is a preference. It's not anything to do. So that's one of our topics here is keeping tradition alive.
Okay,
you can throw that out. Introducing and sharing, throw that out, because we're not looking at emotion here. We're looking at what needs to be done, okay? So that leaves two of them, conservation money and conservation itself.
Okay, so let's talk conservation money first.
Which I'm going to go to both of them.
Okay.
Okay, in 30 to 40 years, it's pretty simple thinking. If you do not have the hunters, if you can project the amount of hunters that will not be there, which they can do pretty accurately because they're projecting their own numbers of what's good and what's bad in the first place. So you can assume that with ages from 40 and on, if the numbers of the gap, because that is a large portion of people in life from 16 or 18 to their late 20s until they have enough money to go do things, or they aren't going into college or whatever else, they got to come back. And those people that are coming back aren't. There's not very many that are coming back. COVID spiked that number of the 30s. 30-year-olds was the highest it had been in a very, very long time. Okay, but if that goes away, conservation money is gone, okay? That means that your conservation doesn't just go away.
What says that's going to go away?
That's what we're going off of. You're going off of the numbers.
I'm going off the fact that now that for 4 years continual, they've continued to buy tags.
Yes, and we're going off of their projection. Their projection will even tell you that, hey, if we're looking at the good side, we have 30 million hunters in the U.S. right now, which is not accurate.
15. It was 15. They said for sure 15 point.
That's tags.
something.
That's the accurate number.
Right, that's what
15
I'm
million
saying.
is what we have in the U.S. right now. And they're saying the estimations, though, because not everybody hunts every year, could be anywhere from 20 to 30 million hunters in the U.S. currently.
Yeah, but you can go off of 15 million for sure.
Correct. And you can also use that number to look at the numbers of the ages from 30 and up that are not
15.9.
coming back.
I don't know
it's
where you're-
under 10% of the 30-year-olds.
I don't know
So-
where you're getting that.
So
I
let me
haven't
ask
seen that,
you a
but
question. If you got rid of hunters, or if you just let it dwindle down on its own, because it will, okay, it'll decrease, I believe, as we get more and more away from COVID. Okay, so because we were on a decline for, I don't know, 10, 12 years or something like that. Maybe it was longer than that.
It was 32 or 33.
Yeah, hunting was on a decline until COVID, and then it came back up. So let's just say it starts doing that again. How are you going to continue to fund this? How are you going to continue to have the effect that conservation has that hunters have as conservationists to make the argument that you need us?
well, I think it's pretty easy. The Pittman-Robertson Act has raised almost $1.2 billion in 2023, which is more than the previous year's record of $1.1 billion. So first off, we need to be asking ourselves is what is the budget of all of our conservation departments in Fish and Game? Because that's not including license tags, everything else. Is it cost $40 billion to run the U.S. Fish and Game services?
I don't know that.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like, we admit it's similar to all of the government. There may need to be an audit done on what the hell they're spending money on.
You don't have any control over that, though. So that's you can't use it in the argument.
You have to because that's what's funding it.
Yeah, but you're going off of things you're just going to assume on.
I'm not assuming. This is a fact. $1.2 billion.
What's the budget?
Let's see if we can find it.
I don't think I'm of the preference that you can throw all the numbers out there. Hunting deserves to be shared with others.
Mhm.
Period. So I hope people will still continually take their kids. I hope people will introduce new hunters, regardless if it indirectly or directly affects your hunting. I mean, indirectly would be that you're the neighbor of the person that's showing their kid how to hunt or whatever. But directly would be you giving up killing a deer because you want to see your kid have an opportunity. There's just not that many, or your wife to have that opportunity.
Fair. If we're looking at all fairness, though, here, even if you're bringing new people in on the conservation side, you shouldn't be giving up your tag either, because then you're just canceling your own self out.
Right. But
you need to take the time to both shoot one.
right.
But I really think that is a null and void argument. I do not think that people are saying, I'm not going to take my kid because I don't want to compete with my kid. I don't think that's what people are saying.
No,
I think they're saying, I'm not going to go
just in
take
general.
the greenie from the gym that says, I care about where my food comes from, and be like, oh, you want to go hunting? That's where the argument is. Nobody's talking about their kid.
I disagree. I've heard guys stand up and say that there should not be a youth season in a community question answer with DNR.
Did they have kids?
I assume so, but he was in his 40s, but he was like, these kids don't need to be hunting before me.
Okay, so that dude probably doesn't have kids, and that's one dude that you're not going to change his mind no matter what you do.
Well, he's not the only one. I can remember.
There's been lots of people that don't like youth hunts and stuff. Now there's a ton that do, obviously, but. So, anyways, one of the things that I was going to say is no matter what you do, whether you remove the or you just let it go, and your numbers do end up going down because we can show that over time they will go down again. Right now they might be at a peak, but they're probably going to be going down again. If you get rid of conservation money, that leaves you with still needing conservation, which means that this is great for the anti-hunters. Is because if you really don't like what we're doing, you probably aren't going to like what they're going to have to do if they remove us. And somebody's going to have to take control of it. And that's going to be government, and that's going to be the DNR and everything for as long as they last. And then it's going to be just a matter of the government taking whatever they need to go kill mass amounts of animals to get them out of the cities and things.
It looks like the budget is $1.8 billion.
So what's their issue? What?
This, I'm. This one right here is the 2025 budget, 1.8 billion, 1,886,000 or 886,091,000.
There's a lot of money.
Okay, so that and the Pittman-Robertson Act doesn't. That's not the only source of income.
No, but it's covering it almost alone. And a lot of that's probably from fishing, because I think fishing's included in there.
I'm sure.
Fishing's a huge one.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, like I said, I don't know that we can solve the number issue.
I think you keep it. I mean, if you look right there that you're doing now, right now, we have something very good. That we've had a budget that has been fulfilled, or we have enough things going around that there's money to be accounted for. Number two is keeping them there. That's the issue. It's anything, if you're going to relate stuff to business and life, everything is fluctuating all the time.
Well, that's what
so short term it could be at a peak, but 10 years we know that it's going to decline again. That's where it becomes being diligent in keeping your people going and taking people. And
but is that naturally then just gonna, it may dip some, but then it will come back, just like anything else?
They didn't know if it was going to come back. COVID was a massive jump. How often are you going to be able to say that it's hitting all record lows, and then a pandemic, whether it's real or not, comes sweeping through a nation?
I'm just saying. I don't know. I just don't know that you could totally say that it was going to phase out, because there was still
it wasn't going to phase
quite
out.
a few people hunting.
Yeah, it wasn't going to phase out, but that's because you're looking at long term there.
Yeah,
it was on a steady enough decline that you were looking in 40 to 50 years that there was going to be very large struggles unless something stepped up. COVID coincidentally stepped up.
I don't think you have this issue as much in the Midwest or on the East, but in the West, I can see the West getting to the point where you have people that aren't hunting every year because they can't get tags.
Well,
there's too many people with tags.
That'll change when their population is bouncing to whatever they need it to. That's constantly going to change.
Utah's that way. You can't get a tag in Utah.
You're talking as a resident.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of Western states now you're not guaranteed a tag as a resident to hunt every year.
Well, and then a non-resident, you're still instead of being a year or every other year, it's going to be
every
5
or 10 years,
7 years, because of the amount of people putting in.
And the amount of you could argue that, but you could also argue where we antelope hunt. That has nothing to do with the amount of people putting in. That was a natural cause of the antelope tags are massively down right now because they had an insane amount of winter kill.
Yeah,
so
that's
population.
A lot of that unit, though, is also private to the point where it's most people, if you could go somewhere else, you probably would, because there's going to be a lot more opportunity.
What's your point? That makes no sense. The population was affected by natural causes, not humans.
Between our friend and his cousins, they own about 70% of that unit.
Yeah.
So if you don't know them and you could go hunt any other unit where there's not 70% owned by one family, then you are going to probably put in for those units, which is what I think has always happened every other year before, because there's more public land there. There was more different landowners, so you had a better chance of being able to get on ground and then going there. They went there because that's the only place that didn't get hit by the winter and EHD.
The numbers are still reduced, though. That's
what do you?
The population.
Where they were
argument
putting
has nothing
in
to
for.
do with hunters.
Well, I don't think that the only reason
that
they decreased the number of tags was because of just the they were already not issuing as many tags. They decreased the number of tags when the number of antelope decreased.
Because of a severe winter kill.
But it was already getting to the point where there was enough people starting to put in that guys weren't drawing every year. Mm-hmm. So it was increasing in the number of tags that were being sought after. So, but again, there's no way to win this. If you were to put this as like tic-tac-toe, it comes out freaking scratch game every single time. You got to have more hunters. You need to introduce more people, but at the same time, you're losing property. You're losing access. You're losing numbers of animals to hunt. Eventually, something's going to come to a standstill. Luckily for me and probably for you guys, that won't be in our lifetime. But at some point, it does come to a head.
That's when you got to call our Sweden friend and see if they'll legalize hunting and we can move.
I don't know that. I think that that's going to just be urbanization. I don't know that you're going to be able to stop that.
That's what
at all.
That's what I'm saying.
Like the only way that you could ever possibly stop that, and you would need more than hunters, is you'd have to have some kind of organization or nonprofit that is making a pile of money and buying up as much land as it possibly can, and then putting it into some kind of trust or something that states that
you need another Theodore Roosevelt. I mean, thank God for him, or there would be
like national parks where
and he did national parks and national forests.
But then I still think you'd probably get to a point where when they run out of space for people, they're gonna eminent domain or do something.
You can't eminent domain something you already own.
The government will do anything they want if they don't have enough room to put people in the future.
I don't know the answer. I just know that.
The good part about those kinds of things, like national parks and everything, those ain't going anywhere because you're going to have enough of the hippies and the hunters that are going to be standing tied to a tree.
Yeah,
Might be the only time you ever see anti-hunters and hunters together.
Well, I think I mean, when we bring it down, when you get out of the numbers, because that's not the place where the average guy in his pickup truck is when he's driving out to go hunting one morning he's looking at how's it affecting him right now. And if there used to be 1 or 2 vehicles in the parking lot, now there's 10, he sees it as we got too many hunters, but at the same time, everyone's just doing, all those other people are just like him. I mean, that's something that I've been telling myself forever. Whenever I see another hunter that beat me to somewhere or whatever, can't be mad at them. They're just doing what you want to do.
But you can absolutely see where it's going to ruin the experience. 2 guys, the whole reason why I don't know about you guys, but I don't go hunting to hang out with people.
Well, you'd argue that you do that sometimes.
People that I want to be with, that I've chosen to be there.
I was going to say.
I'm not going hunting to go and hang out with 10 other dudes. So I could see where at the time when you could get away from them and you could get wherever you need to and it didn't impact at what point, I mean, you got to have a little sympathy for those guys, especially because we're not hunting public every year all the time, where they used to have a place that they go into and get into some deer every now and then or consistently, and then they're having to run into a dude every single time. At some point, that's going to get
old.
Yeah, it's going to get really irritating. And it's not that he's probably mad at them. He's just
frustrated at the situation.
Yeah, it's not that they've done anything.
Not that it matters all that much, but that is interesting because deer is definitely that way, or like turkeys and stuff. But for instance, like dove season, I only hunt public. And I'm with a lot of other dudes a lot of times. Like, there's times where there's just 15, 20 of us. I don't know who that dude is or who the other dude is. But that type of thing is enjoyable. I'm not really talking to him or anything, but it's not like the same thing if I'm walking into that same piece and there's a dude walking in to go deer hunting. It's total different, like, really? Mm-hmm. Here we go again. But you go do a dove hunt or I guess some of your other birds would be different, but I just find that a little interesting that kind of situation. It's like, what's up, dudes? How we doing? And then you go deer hunting. It's like, you suck. We're not friends anymore.
It's because they don't care about a dove.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or at least that much.
Get shots.
They actually help. Having more people helps the dove hunt.
Bounces them around.
Keep them moving around. You like the dude that doesn't hit any.
That's why I go with Dad. I'm kidding, actually. You're actually a pretty freaking good shot for doves, which is very surprising.
Yeah.
Marty's the guy you don't go with.
Yeah, he kills everything.
Behind the head and doing all kinds of wild stuff.
All right. Well, have we hammered this one home, or what do you think?
We haven't solutioned anything.
No, we don't. I mean,
there is no solution for it right now. But I think that we all need to just do our part.
There could be. It's just above our pay grade.
Bring a positive light to hunting. Involve others that you want to involve. And enjoy what we all have the gift to do in the first place. That would be number one. Whether you're bringing other people or not, make sure you're enjoying it and cherish it.
Yeah, because it's rewarding to take someone new. I mean, we just got to do it this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, to me, and I guess maybe I'm at a different place in my hunting. I mean, I could do that every day. You know, I mean, that seeing someone super excited about going and seeing someone that's appreciative and they're asking every question under the sun. Why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? What's this mean? What is that bird? What is this bug? You know, down to the little tiny things, you know, that it's what hunting has so much to offer that's not hunting.
Yep.
And that's what we have to remember or keep in mind. And that when we start limiting those people, that's just unfair.
I don't think anyone's limiting them. That's where I don't think.
That's his opinion on what the reason we need to keep fighting for is what I think you're saying.
Well, because you're people that are taking their kids or their brother or their girlfriend or something. I don't think anybody cares about that because that's not threatening other pieces of property. They're going to probably hunt the same stuff that you were already hunting. Probably going to do the same thing that you were already doing. I don't think those people really care about that. I think that it's
I think you're wrong. I think that because and let's just say that guy hunts public, and now he's just introduced 2 sons and a wife to be able to hunt there too.
That were already hunting there. He was already hunting there.
Yeah, but that's 4 more tags.
Yeah, that's 4 as opposed to used to he competed with me. Now he's competing with 4 of us.
Yeah,
he's got it. He knows it. That is a thing. I mean, when we go to shows and stuff, a lot of guys are like, "Yeah, I take my kids and stuff, but it's tough. We're trying to find more land. We're trying to find more places to go. Obviously, the bigger your family gets, the more tags that are going to need to be filled. So, either figure out how to prevent that or find more hunting spots."
Right. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let's get on to now. I don't know whether I'm seeing that the wacky fact. Declaration has been ripped up and thrown on the ground. So
and used as scrap paper.
I have other copies.
It's all good. Joey, my numbers guy.
Yours is only one vote.
We're good.
Easton Jong-un.
This is cool. It means I have a lot of power. I own a country.
It's a broke one.
It's more than you can say you own.
Okay.
I bet you they have some animals over there. They have tigers, according to the interview.
The average size of a cumulus cloud is about 1 kilometer across and 1 kilometer tall. No, I said kilometer. They also weigh up to 1.1 million pounds.
Depends on how much moisture's in it.
That's what it says is up to.
Right.
Have you ever sat down and had Dad talk to you about some of these things?
Yeah, but we've never discussed he's never told me how long the average cloud is or how tall it is. I did not think they were 1 mile long and 1 mile tall.
Did you know that they're heavy?
I knew they were pretty heavy, yeah. I didn't know they were 1.1 million pounds.
Okay.
Because that's
still boring.
How many elephants did they say that was?
Elephants? Are you going off See, this is
They said it
use
was,
numbers, number guy.
That's what they said. It was like
17 elephants. Oh, I know. Okay, that makes
something.
sense. That's relative. I've seen 17 elephants in my life standing together. That gives me a good reference.
Typical fair weather cumulus cloud weighs about 1 billion pounds.
You should do another
That's insane.
animal one or wombat one. Or
I think you should talk about your Cloud 9.
There you go. That one is good because
That's
we
more
can't
of a
find an
discussion.
answer. No, that's a wacky fact. Everybody says it. People know the terminology, but tell me where it comes from.
That's not there's no fact though. It's just my opinion. Like,
what's your opinion?
My opinion is that where did Cloud 9 come from? Like, how do we know that Cloud 9 isn't the lowest cloud instead of the highest cloud? And then we looked it up and nobody knows where Cloud 9 came from.
Yeah, that's the wacky fact that nobody knows where
It's
Cloud
a
9 came from.
statement.
But that is a very commonly said thing,
Right.
and not a single person knows where it's coming from.
You're on Cloud 9 and no one knows whether that's
just
good or
saying it.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not really a fact. But sure, you want to consider that.
I would have given you a green for that one, but whatever.
I tried to throw you a bone there.
Yeah.
The world's longest animal is the Linnaeus longissimus, also known as the bootlace worm or the ribbon worm, which can grow up to 180 feet long. However, the
What?
record is disputed because ribbon worms are very elastic and only reach their maximum length when fully stretched out. Some say they can grow up to 200 feet long, which would make them the world's longest animal. Ribbon worms are related to mollusks and annelids,
Wait, ribbon?
and most live in the ocean. They are usually less than an inch wide, but some can grow to over 100 feet long. Some species live on land or in fresh water. The bootlace worm's mucus is highly toxic, and it turns its proboscis inside out to feed.
Oh.
It's thought that they can absorb nutrients directly through their skin, which may be why they have evolved to be so long. The longest earthworm on record is the Microadius rapi from South Africa, which measured 21 feet long in 1967. However, the average length of this species is about 6 feet when naturally extended. The largest earthworm species is Australia's giant Gippsland earthworm, which is about 6 feet long. That's disgusting.
Give him 2 on that one.
A 21
do you have a picture
foot long
by chance?
worm is
100
an anaconda.
Yeah, do you have a picture of the weird thingy-majigger?
They're all weird.
The ribbon worm one? The 120 feet or
180 feet.
Ew. That's
an earthworm.
earthworm, yeah.
Let me see.
It's
What about-
freaking like a boa constrictor?
That is disgusting.
I don't know what fish could eat that if I
You'd
put
need a
them on.
12
shark.
gauge. Ugh.
That's nasty. Well, your first one sucked, but you kind of came back.
Yeah, you did. That
you
was
know? So
that was a good recovery.
That's the
I'm
ribbon
waiting
worm.
for the. Oh, I've seen those thingies in pictures. I didn't think they'd get that big though. That's disgusting.
100 feet.
That is so gross.
yeah,
Ever since I watched some documentary on Discovery Channel or something, I've never peed in the ocean.
Because the
'Cause
parasites
then
swimming
they
up
can
your
swim
urine.
up your pee hole.
Would you
Yeah.
like me to burst that bubble
That's
for you?
terrifying.
It's in the Amazon, not in the ocean.
Well, when I saw it when I was like 8, and I was like, I am never pissing in the ocean.
I have a hard time pissing in any water because of that. Because I'm scared.
Did we watch it together?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, the
Terrifying.
Amazon is where it's known for that parasite lives there and thrives in it.
All right, guys.
No thanks.
Well, we appreciate you guys tuning into the Raised Hunting Podcast. I don't know if we brought up, like Easton said, we really didn't solve it for you. There is no way to solve it, but if you guys got comments you want to send in, we'll surely entertain them. If you got topics you want to hear, let us know. We'll try to get to those
Yeah,
in the time.
no, let us know. You guys need to tell us some stuff because I know we have some topics that we're waiting on, but give us something like relative to time right now. How about that?
There you go.
And if your name is Joseph Maines, send me a freaking email, dude. I've got a box for you that you have not reached out. Okay, let's go. Come on.
All right, this is the Raised Hunting Podcast signing off. Appreciate you guys.